welcome back to the channel. This week's video is all about good riding, awesome weather, and some good company. This is the start of an exciting voyage back to the Isle of Wight to meet up with a few familiar faces and re-ride some of the amazing trails. Since last time I was here at the grand opening, I'm really interested to see how the trails have been holding up after nearly being open for a whole season. So let's go for a ride. This session started as most goodbye trips finish, with a trip to the mechanic, and it appears that I've been neglecting my bike maintenance lately. Luckily, Gaz was on hand to sort a few issues before we took to the trails. Once everything was running smoothly, we got right to it. First on the cards, we dropped straight into my favourite trail at the park, Gnarnia.
Yeah, ready to roll.
Gnarnia is a natural trail that has a few surprises. It's fast, and today it's loose.
She's dusty.
One of the reasons I like this trail so much is right around the next corner. This awesome skinny. I rode this twice last time I was here, and I'm still pretty psyched that I can do it.
Whoa! 3 for 3.
But if this big skinny is too hardcore, no need to feel left out because the trail leads you over two wider features that are a bit closer to the ground. They're both really smooth and a lot less committing. Our major concern today is the condition of the trails. On the island, it hasn't rained for a good month, which isn't ideal for mountain bike trails. This means that they're really dusty and extremely loose. This trail wasn't too bad because it's more of a natural one, but it will be interesting to try the man-made trails later. As you can see, the weather today is amazing. It almost looks tropical. When you're riding in this weather, it can get super hot, so we are glad we headed into some trees and into the shade. Heading down the second half of the trail, Craig in front of me had some unfinished business. On this trail last time, he got a bit too involved in the ground after going through this tight section.
Oh, man down!
He was keen not to make the same mistake again. So here we go.
Careful, Sea Dog. You made it!
With a tight berm and drop navigated, I'm happy to report that there were no fatalities. And with only a short section of trail left, we had all managed our first successful run.
Nice.
Getting a taste for the more natural trails, we decided to head up to another one, called Pump to Barb. This is a fast and rugged trail that starts at the top of the hill. Knowing how dusty the trails are at the moment, we decided that it would be wise to take things a bit cautiously. There have been a few changes to the route since last time we were here, and we don't want to get caught out. One of these new features is fast approaching. It's a raised gravel boardwalk. But unfortunately for us, the boardwalk took a bit of a disliking to Craig and tried to throw him off the side. That would have been a nasty fall. Like the surface of the boardwalk, this lower part of the trail is rocky and dusty, and we were definitely aware of these conditions. We certainly weren't going full speed down this end section, which is a shame because I think this is the best part of the trail. There are a few subtle jumps and features to play on and a few extra bits if you know where to look. But with so many patches of loose rock on the trail today, it wasn't worth getting into any trouble. And as well as rocks, I should also mention that there were sheep roaming around the trail too. But despite the variety of unpredictable hazards, we all just about managed to stay on two wheels.
That was so loose.
After ticking off the natural trails, we made our way to Twisted Wizard. This was built and resurfaced at the beginning of the year, and I've been looking forward to riding it again. The top section is a fast and smooth line through the trees. It's a great way to build a bit of speed before hitting the main event. But how was the trail coping after a long hot summer?
I gotta take it easy because this surface is really dusty and really loose. Don't want to be falling off today.
Although the surface is hard-packed gravel, without any water for a long time, surfaces like this can become covered in gravel and dust, making them extremely slippery and unpredictable. It wasn't proving to be too much of an issue up here, but it'll be interesting to see what happens lower down. This is where the trail gets really fun. It starts flowing its way down the hill and doesn't stop until the bottom. This really is an amazing piece of trail and it's super satisfying to ride. From the wooden gate to where the downhill trails start, Twisted Wizard is 2 minutes of constant flow trail. As we predicted, the berms were really loose and gravelly, which made it a lot slower around the tight corners. I was living in constant fear of the back end of my bike slipping out on one of the berms, but I was having too much fun to slow down. Moving into the lower section, it was time to leave behind the berms and enjoy some of the small jumps. There are loads of rollers and a couple of tabletops with different takeoff options. They're all really smooth and they flow amazingly. I really wish there were more blue trails like this in the UK. There's no reason why this style of trail couldn't be replicated in any trail centre. Imagine how much fun riding your local would be if it had sections like this. Once we'd mastered Twisted Wizard, we made our way back towards the trail centre, and then we had time to ride one more trail. But after spending a couple of hours in the heat, we were starting to feel it.
In this heat, riding back up is getting tough. Whew. It also doesn't help that we rode 45 miles yesterday.
Yes, the heat and riding 45 miles the previous day probably didn't help much. It's safe to say that our legs were definitely struggling with all the push-ups we had to do today. But we didn't let that fact get in the way of a good day's ride, and we had one more in our sights.
Yeah.
Blue still starts, as all good trails do, at the top of the hill. The first part slides its way down the hill on the green trail Snot Rocket, but then it splits off about halfway down. There's nothing technical on this first part, but it was nice to glide along and feel a bit of breeze. As we come into the trees, we take a sharp right onto Blue Steel. This is where the trail turns natural and it starts twisting its way along a narrow corridor. I really like this line. The side-to-side corners and small jumps are great for the speed of the trail. The whole thing flows really nicely. Where I seem to come unstuck is the lower section. This is relatively straight with some small fun jumps on it, but for some reason I always seem to get the rhythm of this section wrong.
Oh, I didn't jump any of those.
I'm either missing a jump or overshooting them massively. But this is a forgiving blue trail and it's just fun to see what you can come up with. So as we turn the last corner, we're back at the bottom. We had another superb day's ride in the Isle of Wight bike park. Even with the intense heat and the dusty trails, we managed to survive the day. And now we're off to cool down as best we can. So thanks for watching this video, remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.